Good morning, goddammit. Piss and Vinegar Day 83, Accessories Day. So, new note today, something I want to talk about today is caffeine and creatine. I'll start with caffeine. I've been consuming more and more caffeine lately, and you see a lot of these people on YouTube, like with the, it's always the guys who are really into like grinding or like optimization, like the people that follow Andrew Hubermans and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with Andrew Huberman, but like the kind of like Joe Roganites that are like, I wake up at 6 o'clock and I do my ice bath and I don't drink caffeine because I'd rather have my own stable source of energy. And it's all just like self-help guru Jordan Peterson fanboy nonsense. It's like, yeah, caffeine might have some very, very mild detriments to your health, potentially increase maybe, I mean, I haven't read any literature that implies that it's bad for your heart. Increases adrenaline, sure. There are very mild potential health consequences to caffeine, but much like anything, it's a double-edged sword because it has a bunch of other benefits. Like, one is energy. It just gives you a shit ton of energy, especially when you consume a bunch of it. It increases your DHT, which is the male derivative, or it's a hormone, male hormone derivative of testosterone that's responsible for basically your androgenization. So your, deep voice, hairy chest, hairy back, maybe not so much anabolic, but androgenic. So DHT is great for increasing bone density and being more manly. And today, before working out, I fucking loaded way the fuck up with the caffeine, more than usual. And lo and behold, I was really aggressive throughout my workouts. I just felt aggressive. I felt fucking ready to go. And this is one of the things that Eric Bugenhagen, sorry, cough. I wouldn't say a fan, because I don't really like being a fan of many people, but I like Eric Bugenhagen, or at least I used to very much like his content when he was natural. Now it's neither here nor there. I mean, I don't really follow people that take steroids as much, just because I don't know, it makes less sense to me. But to follow those kind of people. But in saying that, and it just generally like his whole thing was always propelling being a natural lifter, and then all of a sudden he just switched to gearing up to the gills, which I get it because he joined the WWE. But anyway, I don't want to go down that rant path. But basically, one of the things I took away from Eric Bugenhagen back when I used to watch him was he used to just drink a shit ton of coffee, and he would be like an insane aggressive animal in the gym when he would lift. And part of that is his title of the mindset, and listening to heavy metal and getting lamped up, and these are all things I do. But also, he would drink like a mug of fucking coffee before going into the gym, and you could see his energy radiating in the gym when he would train. He was unbelievably aggressive. He looked like he was on fucking Trenbolone or something, which back then he wasn't. So yeah, today I really went hardcore on the caffeine before I worked out, and more than normal, and I was super aggressive in the gym. So yeah, it might not be the best thing for you. It might be slightly addictive. It might have mild health consequences, but just about everything has health consequences nowadays. So fuck it, I am gonna up the caffeine because it made my workout that much better. And I just generally felt super energized and ready to go. So yeah, I don't want to hear any more of this caffeine detox shit. You never see these people that talk about caffeine detox. They're never jacked. They're never a big, aggressive, intense person. They're always kind of more like I do, like pull-ups and push-ups every morning, and I don't really care about being huge and strong and intense. I'm looking to be intense in just about everything I do, whether it be my business, whether it be my training, whether it be my lifestyle in general. And if caffeine will allow me to be more and more intense, then so be it. And then the second thing is creatine. So the other day I was talking about how my strength has been boosting up, and obviously that's due to just a bunch of calories and weight gain. But also in the last 3 weeks especially, my strength has really started boosting, and I credit a lot of that to creatine. It's one of the only supplements that I genuinely believe in, and I might be beating a dead horse here. Probably plenty of people have talked about this in the past, but for any of you watching that don't know, creatine will most definitely, for the most part, give you a very big strength and water retention increase, which can be detrimental in an aesthetic sense, as in your face will start to retain more water, your fat stores will retain more water, but also your muscles will too. So your ligaments, muscles, and joints will be more lubricated, and you'll get better pumps, and you'll output more force, and you'll potentially increase hypertrophy or sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So creatine is one of the only supplements that genuinely works that is remotely comparable to, an anabolic androgenic steroid or something. I mean, obviously it's not remotely the same, but it's one of the only things that is worth the money when it comes to that sort of thing. So creatine is very, very effective, but you have to be careful with it, especially if you have, a family history of kidney issues, because it does dehydrate you, and it increases albumin and other different other lipids or different profiles in your kidneys that could potentially give you kidney stones or just generally kidney damage. And the kidneys you got to take care of. The liver is very forgiving. You can damage the liver and come back pretty easily. You fuck up a kidney and there's not much coming back. You got to get that shit replaced. So when you take creatine, you need to make sure that you're drinking at least 1 liter or 2 more water than average, and don't take huge doses of creatine if you were. I personally think about 5 grams of creatine a day is the way to go, and I take my creatine post-workout with dextrose sugar, as the dextrose sugar allows the creatine to go into the muscles quicker, and I take it with essential amino acids too. So that's kind of my post-workout shake, in case anyone was wondering. It's obviously just a general protein shake on the off chance that your metabolic window actually is a thing. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But some of these things, you're better off kind of waging that might be, because if it is, then why miss out on it? And protein shakes are great anyway, because it's a good way of getting the protein requirements that can be hard sometimes. And they taste good, and it's just kind of like it's part of the bodybuilding ritual. Part of bodybuilding is just doing all the different rituals to be on the right path. Even if a ritual doesn't necessarily give you a huge bang for your buck, it's part of your personality. If part of becoming a lifter or a big muscular person or doing bodybuilding is kind of just becoming the person that does that. And becoming that person is to adopt the rituals, whether or not they are great or not. Again, it's sort of like wagering on this thing working. But either way, protein powder most definitely works, because you need protein to repair your muscle tissue. But that's my post-workout is a whey protein with some essential amino acids, creatine, and dextrose sugar, and those last 3 combine well together. They all kind of complement each other. And they're the only 3 supplements that really work in protein powder, creatine, and essential amino acids. And then dextrose sugar is just a sugar that is fast acting. You could use honey or something if you didn't want to spend the money, but it's pretty cheap and it tastes very nice. So that's the 2 real things today, was creatine and caffeine, the 2 C's. They both will give you a big boost in your training. And if you're not already utilizing them, you should, because they're very cheap, and they genuinely work. Things you want to be as bang for your buck as possible, especially if you don't have a bunch of money. If you're incredibly rich, then like every little percentage counts. So you can start adding like things like what's another supplement that's kind of works a little bit but doesn't work too great. Let's think L-carnitine or glutamine, or just other things in general that supplements, like bodybuilding specific supplements. But a lot of time, vitamin supplements, mineral supplements, etc., actually give you more gains than specifically bodybuilding supplements. Like, for example, vitamin D3, if you're deficient in it or don't have a high amount of it, it's essentially a hormone. And it's very cheap, and it isn't sold as a bodybuilding supplement. But if you mega dose vitamin D3 safely, you can most definitely get an anabolic response from it. You can increase bone density from the androgenic perspective. You can increase body hair and all these other different things. But it also will assist with muscle growth. And then you have, say, like a fish oil, where it's like it won't directly build muscle or help build muscle, but the indirect effects of, say, the joint integrity, the healthier joints, the better feeling joints that you get through training, thus you can train smoother, heavier, longer, more consistently without injuries, will then in the long term add up to those percentages that add to your training. So a lot of supplements that are actually heavily beneficial for training that aren't really marketed as bodybuilding supplements are just as effective, if not more effective, indirectly or sometimes directly than bodybuilding supplements in general. But yeah, kind of ranting and going off topic. If you can drink caffeine before you work out because you'll train harder. And the thing is, with high intensity training, like one of the issues with caffeine for a long volume workout is you get the adrenaline dump after, say, an hour or two. But with high intensity training, it's perfect because high intensity training, you train for max 45 minutes. And that's, you can really have a big caffeine buzz that will carry you for 45 minutes. Right now, I'm starting to drop a little bit, although not too much, because I really caffeined up pretty fucking hard before this workout. But, yeah, if it wasn't so heavy a caffeine dose, I'd probably be crashing by now, in which case it wouldn't matter because my workout's already over. Whereas someone who does volume might find that they're still working out right now, but crashing. And you guys have probably heard me rant plenty about long volume workouts and the lack of intensity at the end of your workouts regardless. Add caffeine to that equation or an adrenaline dump to that equation, you're not going to put much intensity to the end of those volume workouts at all. Another note was on these calf raises, something felt off. I felt way too strong, and I realized it was because the wood was too far forward. One of the most important things with calf training is dorsiflexion, so making sure that your toes, in other words, are coming up towards your ankles or shins as far as you can. So you're trying to stretch out the ankles and calves as much as you can so that you have a huge stretch in the calves, or the soleus in this case, because it's the standing variation, in order to get a huge stretch at the bottom of the movement. One of the best ways to build traps and calves is to get a huge weighted stretch, because these are two muscles that they're not really contractile muscles, they're more like stabilizing muscles, so especially the traps, but same with the calves. And the calves take such heavy weight bearing on a daily basis, in the sense that you're always standing on your calves, you're always walking around. If you don't give a huge weighted stretch and really damage the fuck out of that fascia, or muscle tissue fibers, etc., and fascia to an extent, they're not going to need any reason to adapt, because they're so already adapted, because we walk and run on a daily basis, stand around, etc. So a huge stretch in the bottom, it will make it way harder. Like when I bring this wood back and now I have a huge passive stretch in my calves and ankles, I could barely get like 3 or 4 reps. Obviously I'd already pre-fatigued a little bit with the lighter variation where the wood was forward, but yeah, that's just food for thought. When you're doing standing calf raises, if you can, try to bend over quite a bit so you can get a big stretch throughout the calves rather than going up and down, which will give you a decent stretch. This will just emphasize that stretch even more, and it will be really brutal at the bottom of the movement. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow for more Piss and Vinegar. Bye bye.